Coming to you from the Taft Podcast Studio in the heart of JXN GOP headquarters. This is Stars, Stripes, and Straight Talk with Chris and Dave.
Hey, what is going on? Happy Father's Day.
Yes.
I know we're a little late. I was sick. You were busy.
Yeah, we've been burning the midnight oil on a lot of things. So.
Yeah. But we're back. This is Stars, Stripes,
and Straight Talk.
I'm Chris.
I'm Dave.
And today's show, well, we're going to talk about a lot of different things. We're actually going to do our first ever true reaction.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time. We got a lot of good content out there right now. There's a lot of stuff happening, and I think the commentary on this should be pretty entertaining.
So where do you want to start?
Well, you know what? We do live in the land of the free and the home of the brave.
So they say.
You know, for you guys that don't know, we're up in Michigan.
Right.
Borderline communist sometimes with our governor and some of the things that we do here.
True.
But, the beautiful thing about us is we have 50 states, or 57, according to Obama. Remember when he was on the
Yeah,
common mistake. I wanted to see all 57 states.
Count the stars.
Yeah, exactly. But either way, we do have this state that a lot of people are migrating to. And it's kind of funny that when you look at the migration patterns,
right,
people are leaving heavily blue states and moving to red states. And one of those red states is
Florida, right?
Florida, yes. So now I've mentioned the migration myself. From Michigan, I'm getting older.
We got those snowbirds.
Snowbirds, you jump on the plane, you go down for the winter. And my wife goes, well, he's not always going to be there, but you know what? God bless him that he's here right now.
Right.
So what I'd like to do is let's get into, we're going to talk about the protest and things that happened. The No Kings.
Oh, No King protest.
Yeah, No King protest.
Okay.
But leading up to that, Governor DeSantis had a few things to say about how Floridians need to handle those types of situations.
Oh, all right. Well, let's check it out.
Let's check out the video.
Let me pull that up.
So if you drive off and you hit one of these people, that's their fault for impinging on you.
Governor Ron DeSantis there cracking down on potential non-peaceful protests in a podcast.
Did he say that if you drive off and you hit one of them people, it's on them?
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's kind of a short clip. And if you watch the full clip, we'll try to find it. Maybe we can edit it in here.
That's crazy.
But so basically what he said is that you have a right to defend yourself.
True.
Right? So, think back to the days, and now I'm a bit older and you're my age, the LA riots after Rodney King.
Yeah.
Remember the name Reginald Denny?
Yes.
Okay. This poor man was trying to make a delivery. He was a truck driver.
Right, doing nothing but just doing his job.
Doing nothing but doing his job. A mob of people surrounded his semi-truck. Now, granted, you got to remember, this was a semi-truck, not a Toyota.
Right.
They ain't flipping this thing, and they ain't getting him out of there if he didn't want him to get him out of there. But because he didn't want to hurt anybody, and because he was afraid, being in the state of California, if something happened, he's going to be held liable. He didn't want to kill anybody.
Right.
But you get that mob mentality, and it's dangerous.
It is.
Because what it does is it empowers everybody in that mob to go above and beyond what you would normally do.
Right.
Because now normally, would you ever run up and jump on a semi-truck?
Never.
Would you be like, hey, I think, all 160 pounds of me is going to stop that truck with the 60,000-pound load?
No, not for a second.
No, not for a second. So, but he stopped.
Right.
And he got drug out and he got severely beat.
Because he stopped because there's that human nature, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to do harm to somebody.
No.
Not intentionally. So when they started to run out in front of his truck, he did what any person would do.
Any decent person would do. He hit the brakes, right? But what that does, and it's been proven over and over again in these situations, people realize, hey, if I block this traffic,
right,
I'm gonna appeal to their moral sense.
Right. It's the same thing they did when we were in Iraq.
Yeah.
When the convoy was coming through, they wanted to appeal to our American emotional side.
Yep.
Because I'm going to be honest, I don't know what it is. It's got to be in the water or something. But we are an emotional country.
Yeah.
We allow our feelings to dictate And because like Iraq, they don't do that. And they knew that that's what we did. They would jump in front of us. They would push their children out in front of us. Whatever they could do in order to make us stop.
Wow. You know, in PTSD.
Right.
You know what? If you're not there, you don't understand. I wasn't there. But, I mean, can you imagine? Well, you can. You were there,
It's
Chris.
just crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I just can't fathom, you know, knowing that if I stop,
right, if
something
I stop,
bad,
something bad could happen.
Something bad is going to happen.
And if I don't stop, something bad is going to happen.
Right.
It's catch-22.
It really is, yeah.
So you evaluate the situation, and for me, at that point, I was a father, a husband. I'm going to make sure I go home.
Yep. Yeah,
It's what it is.
So anyway, so he stopped, right? And I think what his warning here is that, listen, you're driving on a road. If a mob comes at you, you have the right to defend yourself,
or flee.
Right, or flee. Well, that's defending yourself, right? Because you're in a car. You know, look at it this way. If I'm standing there and I'm an armed citizen,
right,
and 22 people come at me with baseball bats and I shoot somebody, there's no question that I'm defending myself against this mob of people.
Right.
What's the difference between me using my car as my defense rather than a weapon?
There's none.
Because there is none, right?
Because if you hit someone, if you're driving,
Yep.
and have an accident, not in this case. I'm just saying it's winter. You're out. You're driving. You lose control on the ice. You hit the pedestrian. You get charged with murder with a weapon.
Or manslaughter, yeah.
The vehicle becomes a weapon.
Exactly. Well, and especially if I intentionally run somebody down.
So in that case,
right,
with the protesters, take off. Hit the gas.
That's what he's saying. So let's see what else. See what else we got
see
here.
what they say.
Earlier this week, the governor told Florida drivers that they can hit protesters if they need to, quote, flee for their safety. NBC6's political reporter Steve Litz explains the governor's stern warning.
The violence and protests in California prompted Florida's governor to go on the Rubin Report podcast with this message.
If you're driving on one of those streets and a mob comes and surrounds your vehicle and threatens you, you have a right to flee for your safety. And so if you drive off and you hit one of these people, that's their fault for impinging on you.
Ron DeSantis with a warning in advance of tomorrow's anti-Trump No Kings rallies.
So he was plain and clear there, wasn't he?
Yeah, he wasn't playing around.
Now, was it an intention when he said one of those people?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't like to read into everything, but he was very clear. The protesters. So if any of those protesters, I mean, you can tell the difference.
Yep.
If they get in your way and you feel scared, speed bump.
Okay. Have you ever been to a protest, Chris?
I have.
Okay. What did you do?
When I was at the protest?
Yeah.
Just marveled at the idiots around me.
Did you? I went to the Right to Life protest. Quite a few times,
I've done. I don't want to consider those protests. I mean, we're not out there chanting and screaming and yelling.
No, we held up our signs.
Yeah,
you
sure.
know, we did our stuff. We lined the streets. We held hands. We prayed. You know, we did those kind of things.
I've done that.
You know, now we were right on West Avenue.
Yeah.
Did we take the chain and move it out onto the street and block the
No,
cars and
absolutely
go, stop killing babies? Stop.
Absolutely
no.
not.
Then it ceased being a protest.
Right.
At that point, we're now attacking people.
Well, sometimes people are so passionate about their opinion, whether it's a No Kings or environmental.
Yep.
Right. They do some weird stuff. I don't know if you remember or not, but a couple years back, the protesters were going out and digging up the road, putting like potholes in the road.
This had to have been Michigan.
Putting their hand in the pothole and covering it with concrete. Literally cementing themselves to the street to protest the environment.
Well, see, now, where did this happen at?
I believe that was in London.
Okay, because in Michigan, you wouldn't have to dig up the street
Right,
for the pothole.
they're everywhere. But the point...
There's many potholes right
but
here
the
in Jackson
point,
you could
what do
have
you do
used.
then?
Right.
They became part of the road, essentially.
Not just a speed bump at that point,
That's
right?
what I mean. And, but you couldn't. You had to stop, and you had to wait for them to
Right.
come out, and the EMTs would come out, and they try to chip away at the concrete. I'm late for work at this point.
Yeah, but that's not, it's a form of protest, right?
Right.
But our rights as Americans is to a right to assemble and
Exactly.
protest. At no point in time
Peacefully.
does it mean you can bring a baseball bat,
Right,
tear
right,
gas,
right.
or walk up
Bricks.
and come up to me, or brick. We'll get into the bricks. Come up to me with a weapon,
Right.
And because I just happen to be driving by your protest.
Oh, I know.
You don't even know how I stand on. Oh, I saw a guy the other day video. He goes, I went into the No Kings rally and put a bunch of Trump bumper stickers on all their cars and watched them trash each other's cars. It was great.
Awesome.
Because you don't know. You see a sticker, you're like,
right.
break the window. He goes, yeah. He goes, it was a little bit of fun I had on the side.
That's crazy.
So DeSantis is making a stance here on
Right.
this. He's saying, you know what, we don't mind protesting.
Exactly.
Protesting's good. It's our
Do your thing.
It's one of our it's our right. Right? We have
Yeah.
the right to someone protest. You do not have the right to drag me into your protest in a violent way.
Exactly. If I'm not part of your protest and I'm just happen to be driving by, you don't have the right to arbitrarily pull me in.
And you cannot get a permit to protest on an active street.
No.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely
so
not.
As soon as you leave that sidewalk, you leave that designated area,
Right.
You're now breaking the rules. You're
Right.
now a lawbreaker. You're not a protester.
Exactly.
And when you walk up and start pounding on the hood of my car, you're no longer a protester.
Right.
You are an assailant against me trying to cause harm. And, in the state of Florida, that means I get to hit the gas pedal.
and flee for my
And flee.
safety. As
For my
he
safety.
said it. He
Right.
didn't say, let him get in front of you and then hit the gas. No.
Or
He said if you feel scared and you must flee for your safety.
So if I'm standing there and I'm driving and 30 people surround my car, start banging on my car, banging on my window, who's not going to feel scared?
Exactly.
You know what I
Exactly.
mean? That's a situation where, if I have my kids in the car and my wife in the car,
Right.
I'm going to do it I'm going to want to flee,
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
in the state of Florida, how many people got ran over?
I have no idea. Any?
We're going to have to, I don't think anyone did.
Because you know why? Because he was upfront. He
Because
said,
he was upfront about it.
He
Yep.
said, if you act like a fool and you get on the roads, I'm giving everyone the go-ahead, the
Yep.
green light to make you a speed bump.
Yep. So that hasn't happened everywhere. So there was an incident, and it wasn't in Florida. So let's pull that one up and take a look at that.
Which incident was that?
That was in California.
Oh, yes.
So
check that out.
let's see what happened in California here. All right, so we got to warn people here.
Go ahead.
This is some graphic content.
Yeah, I think it has a little. Yeah, there we go.
I think they got the warning up there, but this is exactly what DeSantis was talking about.
Right.
Here.
This is in California, though, which makes me curious. How does that play out in that state?
You know what? I
don't
would be shocked if you don't see charges being pressed.
I was going to
against
say,
the
I don't
driver.
see Gavin Newsom letting it fly.
No.
I don't.
Because it's a double set of standards, right?
Well, it's because it's California.
Yeah.
I mean, really, at the end
Yep.
of the day. But here's what's going on. This is what happens when you try to bring someone into a protest that wants nothing to do with it.
Correct.
All right, so right here,
Yep.
all of this happening, they jumped on the hood.
Well, let's count them here.
Go
Take
ahead.
a quick count.
Go ahead.
I can't. My eyes are
All right, I
bad.
got
You count
1,
them up
2,
here.
3, 4. I'm looking at 7, 8 people directly around the vehicle.
Yes.
And several more in a secondary circle. It looks like they're kind of closing in with the Palestinian flag. So now,
You're a war veteran. What does that look like to you?
Oh,
A
it looks
coordinated attack?
it looks like they're definitely trying to stop my vehicle.
Yeah.
Period.
Yep.
Looks not all of them. There's a couple of onlookers that are like, okay, where's this going to go?
Yep.
But yeah, no, there's absolutely no reason for them to jump on her hood.
Now, is she like Is she driving through a parking lot?
No, this is a street. That's an intersection.
Oh, so she's not driving through their protest.
No, they're in a position where they shouldn't even be.
Okay. I just want, for the viewers looking at this angle, this is an intersection.
Yeah, it's a definite intersection in L.A.
She's definitely, whoever the driver is, they're definitely not driving through a crowd of people.
Right.
To say, hey, I'm going to do some carnal damage here because I don't like
it's
what
not a parade.
Right. It's not a parade that they're plowing through.
Right.
Okay.
You're not supposed to protest on the street. You're supposed to stand on the sidewalk.
Yep.
This is not a parade. So she has the right of way.
Yep.
Now, notice, let me back it up just a touch. Notice how once she hits the gas, several of these people decide, I'm not going to get too close.
Yeah.
The young lady with the long hair.
She's committed.
She decides, I'm going to try to stop this vehicle myself and plants her feet.
Right.
As if to say, I've got this and you're not going anywhere.
Well, the problem that
and then she blows a tire. Her crock flies off and that sucks her down under the car.
Right. But the problem we have here is what mindset do you have to be in? And who set you off so much to where you're like, okay, the president of the United States, who I think is doing all these bad things, is so evil that I need to go up to this random Chevy on the street, and stop it to prove a point of what?
It's honestly, I don't even think they have a point like that to prove. I think when you get into this position with these protesters, right?
Well, a lot of them are paid. We know
that's true, and they're paid to cause trouble. They're paid to cause arrested, trouble, right? But I think some of them actually feel like they're entitled. Like, I can stand in front of you and you have to stop.
You have to, you have to stop.
I don't have to stop.
Right.
It's the same as trans, right?
Yep.
If I want my pronoun to be him, her, you have to do. No, I don't.
No.
I don't have to. You don't have to like it. I don't care. I don't push myself onto you. Don't push your stuff onto me. Keep it moving.
Yep.
So if you don't want to get turned into a speed bump, let the car just go on by.
Yeah. Engage somebody who wants to get engaged.
Right.
There's, maybe we'll look up the video later of the African at the protest. Not sure if you've seen that one, but we'll pull that.
No, but I did see one where this African American family decided they no longer wanted to live in a racist United States, sold everything and moved to Ghana. Ooh. Then they posted a video how much they hate life in Ghana because they don't got anything like we have here.
Nope. And
want to move back. That's one of those, just take our word for it. It's better in America.
Yep.
Yeah, no.
All right. So let's fast forward or hit play here and see what.
Speed bump.
Speed bump.
You see that?
Yep. Absolute speed bump.
Now, you hear them? Sorry about pausing so much, but did you hear the rest of the protesters?
Yes.
What the F?
What, right. What, yeah.
Again, entitlement.
Yeah.
You were supposed to stop.
You were supposed to stop and let me beat you. Exactly.
You're supposed to stop and let me throw rocks and paint on your car.
Yep.
Are you crazy?
Yeah, they absolutely are. Yeah.
No. You were supposed to stay out of the road so you didn't get hit.
Yeah.
And you failed.
Yep.
I don't think you got the memo that day.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yep. All right. Let's see. It's a pretty long video. Let's see if we got it.
Now, the car is long gone. Who are they yelling at?
The world?
I mean, seriously, the car is not there.
Yeah.
Look, that bus. That bus didn't care.
No.
Oh, see, now they jump out in front of her. Different angle.
Yep.
Now, did you notice the kid that was driving? It looked like a young kid.
Yeah.
I know it's a little blurry, but if you look at it real close, let me bring it back. As it goes by, I want to say that's not like an adult.
Yeah.
What the
Yeah. And again, apologize for the language in the video here.
Well, it was bleeped out.
I know, but we all know what it was. But yeah, so you got a situation here where, you put yourself in a position where you're breaking the law.
Right.
So, that this is the equivalent of me getting mad at the police for shooting me as I've held 6 people hostage and I'm running out of the bank with the money after shooting the guard and going, why would you shoot me?
Right. Exactly.
As I'm firing at the police.
However, this isn't the first time we've had stupid liberal laws like that. Even here in Michigan.
Oh, yeah.
In Jackson, Michigan. When I was growing up, I lived on the south side of town, right off of MLK. And it was Francis Street at the time.
Francis Street, yep.
But we got broken into about 3 times. Once I was home when it happened. So my parents started a neighborhood watch, right? They were told that we had to post all over the house. Don't break in, whatever. Watch your step signs in our house. In the house. And my father was like, why would I have to do that? And the police officer at the time said, the law states if the man breaks into your house and falls down the stairs, he can sue you for tripping if it's not posted that there are stairs.
Oh, yeah.
That's one of them stupid liberal laws.
Yep.
You breaking into my house. You get injured perpetrating a crime, that's on you.
Yep.
But see, now the law is different. Now you break into my house, you catch some hot lead, get some minerals, and it's on you.
Little castle doctrine going on there,
and that's on you.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, you got a bunch of people here that are visibly upset that this lady got ran over,
right,
for stopping a car who had a green light,
right,
that was getting surrounded.
And the question is why? Why were you trying to stop this vehicle to begin with? Like, okay, there's somebody here with a bucket. What's in the bucket? I don't know.
Bricks, rocks.
Are you gonna throw paint on my car? What's in the bucket?
Yeah, you don't know.
I'm not waiting.
Hey, remember we talked about Reginald Denny earlier?
Yeah, I'm not
That
waiting.
was L.A.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
So you're not going to sit around and see what Chapter 2 brings, because Chapter 2 may bring, I could be dragged out of the car, beaten,
absolutely,
or even killed.
And I'm glad now to see that governors and society as a whole is starting to change their opinion on certain things. We've gone way too long with the protesters have the right to do whatever they want, burn down buildings and cause chaos and drama and shoplift and mass riots. To now it's, no, you're going to mess around and find out.
Yep. Well, even, in Detroit, and I got to give him credit, James Craig was the police Detroit during the BLM riot days, the summer of fun. And he basically just made the announcement, don't bring your crap to my city.
Exactly.
Because he was a staunch supporter of citizens being armed. He goes, listen, I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do, but I'm going to tell you, you walking around the city of Detroit, there's a lot of armed citizens.
Exactly.
And you throw a brick through their window, they may shoot you, and they're justified doing so.
Yep.
So, what kind of problems did we have in Detroit with BLM?
None.
I
mean, it was quiet.
Right. And that's the thing. When you stand for the letter of law, if you don't like the law, change the law.
Exactly.
But when you have people at the top that stand for the letter of law, you don't have the problems.
Right.
And this is obviously, we got Gavin Newsom and we got LA. So,
right.
They feel they have all the power. And unfortunately, it's the people at the top that are putting that girl in that position.
Right.
Right. Because they've trained them that you're right because you feel you're right. You're entitled to push your opinion and to stand in front of that car.
Right.
But unfortunately now that girl got ran over because somebody at the top didn't say, hey, listen, there comes a point to where what you're doing could cause great harm to you.
Right. They didn't tell her to stay out of the road.
Right. She knew that no cop in LA was going to arrest her for being in the road.
Right.
But they didn't tell her that, by the way, you might get your butt ran over today too.
Right.
And that's not on, partially on her because she's standing there.
It's all on her.
Well, but at the same time, it's the environment that she was put in to make her believe that she could stand in front of that car and everything was going to be okay.
I disagree. It's all on the protester because at the end of the day, I don't care what the guy next to you is doing. You still have to make that decision for yourself. If you're throwing a brick through a window,
yep,
I have to make a choice to walk away or grab a brick and join you. At the end of the day, it's my decision. I don't make excuses. It was her decision. 3 people on the hood of this car, 2 of them said, I'm about to move.
I'm about to move, right.
1 decided, I'm going to be the hero of this story.
Yeah. Well, I'm guessing she's probably younger. Right?
Probably.
I couldn't tell.
Invincible.
Yeah, but she was invincible at the time. But at the end of the day, is ultimately is it her responsibility? Yes.
Yes.
But she doesn't bear the only responsibility.
Well,
for that.
no,
because the people at the top
right
have if I tell you, Chris, you can walk into the grocery store right now, take all the groceries you want, walk out, and nothing's going to happen to you. You know what? That's a little different than I say, hey, you go in there and you steal groceries, you may get arrested.
True.
Now, I'm not saying you're not going to go in and steal some groceries, but if you have been given the green light to do illegal acts,
right,
then you feel empowered at that point, so that you can take that extra step to where you feel, okay, that person in that car, they're going to get in big trouble if they run me down, so I can stop them.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, but I still believe at the end of the day, it's the protesters' fault.
It's our background. It's our background as Christians. It's all personal responsibility, right? We're going to answer to one God.
Right.
But at the end of the day, we're raised a whole generation of, I'm entitled, I'm right, you must listen to me, my feelings matter.
Right. But hey, this podcast, we've pretty much come to the end. I do have one thing to say.
Okay.
I want to talk about what President Trump posted on X when it came to the No Kings protesters.
Oh, let's pull it up.
And I want to personally thank those protesters.
Yep.
Because the No King protest, because of your beliefs and your abilities to get out and protest, we don't have a king.
Absolutely.
We still have President Trump. You stopped the king from coming and taking over the United States. You did your job.
You realize they missed the date, right?
They missed the date.
Yeah.
No
King's Day.
No.
July 4th, 1776, baby.
Right.
That is the original No King's Day.
That's the original No King's Day.
Yeah. So,
but I appreciate them going out there making sure that we maintain the presidency
of the United States.
And we will pull that up. It'll be right here.
It'll be, he'll have it up
just
on the
so you
screen
can see that the president personally thanked them himself. But hey, that's all the time we got for this episode. I'm Chris.
I'm Dave. And God bless America.